Welcome, Wappinger residents, to our Talk of the Town for the week of September 20th, 2020. I welcome you today and hope that we are continuing to make progress as we struggle with the various challenges in our society. But the good news is that our town continues to remain fully open for business. In fact, the past week, we were averaging around 130 visitors a day to conduct various aspects of town business, and that trend has continued throughout this week. Today I'm going to be talking about several items. One is COVID-19 and where we go from here. The second is relating to Halloween. What does COVID mean with respect to Halloween in Dutchess County? The next one, extremely important as well as the previous two, is voting. And this item is, of course, has quite a potential impact on many aspects of our lives, and so I will discuss that a little bit, inform you on some of the key dates going forward with respect to voting in 2020 election. Next would be the census and the need to complete your registration, your census questionnaires and file them, and I'll discuss the importance of that. I know there's some controversy related to it, but I believe it's extremely important for our town. And last but not least, one item about our town guide. So, looking at COVID-19, of course, this is continuing to plague us throughout this country, and we have had basically good results within the Dutchess County and also the Mid-Hudson region. As you're aware, Dutchess County and the town of Wappinger are included in a greater geographic region called the Mid-Hudson region. When we look at those statistics, we are seeing that the rate of infection is around 1%. But even better news is that thanks to all the strong efforts within our county's rate of infection is only at 0.5%. What does that mean? Well, it says that, one, we are doing through the county, thanks to the county executive and the governor, a significant amount of testing. Testing to date is over 162,000 people have been tested. The active cases within the county are at 141 active cases, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. And in Wappinger, we have 12 active cases, which has been continuing to decline on a daily basis. 6 people are hospitalized out of those 141 that I mentioned. And unfortunately, we continue to see some folks passing away. There were 2 recent deaths in Dutchess County. When I talk about the increase, and basically as we are seeing an increase, spike in some of the reporting, it's not because of the testing. What's happened is that within Beacon, there has been a spike that has resulted from about 30 cases within the Hedgewood Assisted Living Facility. There's 13 residents there, and 17 staff members have tested positive. The county and Beacon city government reacted extremely quickly after the tests that had been conducted, and imposed the isolation and quarantine orders. So that appears to be under control. But the county numbers and the Mid-Hudson region have been impacted by that particular case. It's still unfortunately not clear what does all this mean with respect to phase 4 relaxations. Because our numbers are very good within the county at 0.5%. The county executive, along with various municipal leaders, including myself, have been pushing for greater latitude with respect to the opening, particularly restaurants, as we enter the winter season. So, that information continues to be passed on to Albany, to our governor, who is considering some ways to relax it. Most of the restaurants have been operating under the county's executive order, which a number of us had worked closely with the county executive, Marcus Molinaro, to create the guidelines. But what we've done in town of Wappinger, what I got the board to consider and pass unanimously, was one step further, with respect to our restaurants and eating establishments. And what that is, that one step further, is we actually got a code change. We amended our code to allow for greater flexibility within our building department and permitting. So we're not relying on the county executive's order. What we are looking at is also the code changes, which will allow permitting during the winter to even consider possible outside heating, within a tented environment, if that's what's necessary to allow our restaurants to continue. Other areas also, our permit can provide for flexibility in not just COVID-19, but in other issues that challenge us, perhaps even with respect to the flu season going on. With respect to the another very important aspect of this time of the year, not only is it a time to get your flu shots, and I myself have gotten a flu shot, but also remember that when you're outdoors, especially in our parks, we've never shut down our parks. We have opened them continuously throughout COVID, but this is the peak of the tick season. As you know, ticks carry Lyme disease and other tick-borne diseases that the state, particularly under the leadership of Senator Serino, have made a special effort with respect to treatments. But ticks are now at their adult stage, and this means that they're actually at the most movable point in time that they could infect you. They're easier to spot. What you need to do, as I said earlier this year at Carnwath taping, is to inspect yourself every time you're out in the fields, in the woods. Wear long sleeve clothing or long sleeve pants, tightly knit. Get one of the sprays or make one yourself. I make my own solution with lemongrass and eucalyptus oils. That has been very effective over the years. So please pay close attention to this, not just on yourself, on your children, and on your pets. Again, pets can bring the ticks into the house if they get out into the wild. The COVID has raised a lot of questions relating to Halloween, a time of the year which I think family, particularly children, look forward to as kind of a break and some happiness, excitement that goes on. The county executive has made it clear that the COVID-19 should not stop Halloween. He's encouraging everybody to have a plan, stay safe and smart, but your plan is likely based on just trick-or-treating within your known neighborhood. The neighbors, the whole family, your family can go out, make sure the children keep the proper distance. What I think we will be doing and others will be doing is offering candy in a bowl outside of the door, so you don't have to worry about coming into the house or greeting somebody physically. So there is no prohibition at this time on handing out candy that's wrapped, and I think the Department of Health for the county the Dutchess County Department of Health will be posting fairly soon FAQ. This will be questions and answers for you with respect to their recommendations to Halloween. So stay tuned, look at the county website. We'll also be posting some information on that. The next item that I want to discuss, extremely important, is concerning voting. Voting is, of course, the mainstay of our democracy, along with the freedom of speech and the right to assemble. But most importantly, this year, there are so many different issues that I want to encourage everyone to register to vote. There is still time. I believe the day before yesterday was the Register to Vote Day. But for any of you that have not yet registered to vote, please do so. You have until October the 9th to submit your application. Needs to be postmarked that day, or to go into the Board of Election for Dutchess County, which is up in Poughkeepsie. We have an excellent group of folks with our two commissioners, and this is Eric Haight and also Beth Soto. They're there to answer questions in person or by phone, but please get your application in for registering to vote. Do that as soon as possible, but in any event before the 9th of October. Again, October 9th is the cutoff date for registering to vote. We have a lot of new residents that have been coming into the town over the last 6 months, buying houses, buying apartments, and all of you should register to vote here. Move your registration from your current location if you at all can. There are three main ways to vote at this election, and this is just a little sign that put together. I borrowed it from the county executive's office, and this will be posted both within Town Hall and on our websites, and also in connection with this video transmission. First is by absentee. This absentee ballot must be requested. You must submit either a written request, or go into the Board of Election, or make a phone call to the Board of Election to request it. All absentee ballots need to be absentee applications need to be submitted by October the 27th. So please start doing this if you feel that you cannot or do not want to vote in person. The second item that you see here is voting early. This voting period of time for voting early would begin October the 24th, lasting through November the 1st. There are 5 locations within Dutchess County. The closest in proximity to the town of Wappinger is in the town of Fishkill. That's the town hall of the town of Fishkill. You may also go up to the Board of Elections, or any one of the other 3 locations, which are basically north of us throughout the county. So October 24th through November 1st, you may vote in person and vote early. I plan to vote early in this way. Finally, and last but by no means least, there is Election Day. Election Day is November 3rd, Tuesday, November 3rd this year, and you will be able to go in person to the various voting districts. Please check with the Board of Election website of where yours is. We will be posting in October the various locations within the town of Wappinger. I think it's very important for you to also be asking your various candidates, what is their position, with respect to how to respond going forward to COVID-19. What do they propose with respect to the small businesses, with restaurants, and places that in fact are not yet open? I think this is the most important question. Treatment, funding, subsidies, all those are at the foremost of our minds, and certainly mine. I am working on our own plan for the town of Wappinger, which I'm drafting at this point in time and will be presenting to the board in connection with our budget planning. So stay tuned to what I'm going to be recommending for the town, and also the town in coordination with the county executive's office, as well as Albany and the governor's office. One other very important item is the census. All of you should have received by now, both in the mail, email reminders, as well as phone calls, to complete your census questionnaire. I know there is concern with respect to that. The courts have clearly ruled on the confidentiality of that, and there are watchdogs pertaining to making sure that the answers are not abused. Why is it important? What does this mean to you and me here in the town of Wappinger? Well, there are several things that are really important, crucial with respect to census numbers. That's the information that's gathered every 10 years by the U.S. Census Bureau. And those numbers are used in many ways that affect our daily lives. For example, the numbers will determine the amount of grant money or government subsidies that are available for a variety of things, including infrastructure. In my continued plan to build out our water and sewer systems, and the ability to get grant funding to do that is going to be determined by the census results for our community. Also, the federal dollars go to a number of different social programs, including also helping with funding in our schools. Also, it determines the number of seats that we will have in the state of New York in the Congress. And this is very important, particularly as we've seen a decline over the years, and with the supposed large exodus of people out of New York City, this means that perhaps the number of House of Representative delegates from the state of New York will diminish. Also, it results in reapportionment, both at the county, state, levels. So the political districts that determine in what district, what ward you vote, are determined by the census numbers. The census questionnaire must be completed by September 30th, so you only have a few more days to get this done. With respect to the town of Wappinger, there is a database that we rely on. The county itself is having facing only a 65% return rate. That's very low. The town of Wappinger is better than that. We're at 71.5%. We'd like a lot more responsiveness. I'd love to see the numbers well over 80%. Right now, the leader, just next door to us, is LaGrange. They're at 76%, so certainly I would like to see us all come in higher than LaGrange, and certainly be one of the highest in the county, since that will impact a lot of our budget planning, funding, and resources going forward. So please, complete your questionnaire if you have not yet done that. Last, but by no means least, we are now working on our Town of Wappinger Guide for 2021. This is a picture of the rough draft of that as Mike Miner zooms in. We have a tremendous amount of useful information, including right at the center a very creative, artistic map of the town. But this guide, which is a significant expansion over the previous 2 years. In fact, while we're still in 2020, because of COVID and the cutback on various activities, we are going ahead and using the monies that were left over from printing to publish this. But we have a tremendous amount of useful information that will also be helpful to not just our longtime residents, but also new folks coming in. So we're in the process of finalizing this. I hope that by mid-October, late October, depending on the printing schedule, that we'll have these available. But certainly through the end of the fall and winter, we'll have our guides available, not just in Town Hall, but we'll be placing them at a number of different restaurants, cafes, and other spots of popular attraction within the town. So thank you for listening. Please, again, get out and vote, complete your census, have a nice Halloween, and until soon, please be safe and remain well. But thank you very much for your patience and understanding, but particularly in coming to Town Hall and conducting business almost as normal. Take care and have a good day.